Hey guys, welcome back to the Wellness Hustle podcast. This is your host, Dr. Neville Campbell, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you for following the journeys. Thank you for sticking with the stories. I'm sure if you stayed with them, your life would have been changed. We've interviewed some amazing professionals here in the Atlanta metro area, and when I tell you their journeys are worth discussing. Today, we have yet another powerful story. Attorney Miracle Rankin, she's here with us, and I'm certain you've probably seen or heard of her. Today, we'll give her an opportunity to tell her story. Who is she? What inspired her? How did she get to this point? And what is she trying to do for the space? Attorney Rankin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me,
Absolutely.
Dr. Campbell.
The pleasure is absolutely mine. When I just tell you, we've seen photographs, we've talked on the phone, but in person, absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely stunning, by the way. And so just want to talk to you briefly, give the audience an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you.
Okay.
As a person. So let's start off with, how did this start? I mean, you look like you're probably in your late 20s right now. So when did you go to law school? When you're in your
When I was
teens?
6. When I was 6. No, I'm not in my late 20s.
Oh, really?
I just take really good care of myself.
You know what? You're doing an absolutely amazing job with it.
Thank
right?
you.
So what is this journey? So tell me about your journey to law. How did that happen?
So I'm from a very small town in Louisiana, like one of those places where you have a little bit of grit and grind to get out, right? And I always knew that I wanted to do something with my life that was impactful, not just for me, but for my family, for people coming behind me. And so we moved here when I was in high school. My mom said Atlanta is where it's at, people are successful, and that's what she wanted to be around. So we moved here, and it's really just been an amazing trajectory from that point. When I was at Spelman, I worked at the Westin Hotel. So a little fun fact I like to tell people that I've been working since I was 16. I always carried a job. And my entire time at Spelman, I worked 40 hours a week, right? Which teaches you how to balance a lot in life. But when I worked at the Westin, I realized that people just didn't understand their basic rights. Like, you have an employee handbook. It tells you what the employer can and can't do and what you can and can't do. And I would talk to people in the cafeteria when they say, oh, my boss isn't letting me do this, or they keep denying this. It's like, well, what does the handbook say, right? Yeah. And so after a while, realizing that the words on paper actually mean something and they can help people if you know how to use them, I decided that the law just made sense for me from a career perspective.
Wow. So it wasn't a role model that you had, so you saw some powerful female attorney blazing a trail, you're like, I want to be just like her.
Throughout my career as a lawyer, yes, but I went to high school in Decatur, Towers High School. It was a, very segmented high school from just a performance perspective. If you were a top performing student, they made sure that they gave you the resources that the school had available. But it wasn't an area where you really saw professionals all the time. So my mom, when we went to World Changers and they had a legal ministry. So at about 17, she was like, you don't know any lawyers, but you said a few times you may want to be a lawyer. Maybe we should just go sign you up for the legal ministry. I said, well, Mom, I'm not a lawyer. What can I do? She said, well, you can do something. So I signed up for the legal ministry, and I did meet a lawyer by the name of Angela. And she just really helped open my horizon to like what the world can be like if you pursue a professional career. Now, she did construction, real estate law, so that was not the area that I wanted to go into, but she really did help expose me to like, this is what your life can look like. If you just stick to it and follow your passion and your dream. So
powerful story.
Thank you.
You know, just talking to you and just hearing you mention your mom, are you a lot like your mom?
We have a lot of similarities. I think I'm a good mix of my mom and my father.
Okay.
My mom is definitely a visionary.
Okay.
And she is always thinking much bigger than her current circumstance. So I think that is a lot of similarities there. She's very feisty. And doesn't really take no for an answer. So a lot of the things that are kind of my base framework for my life come from the lessons that she's taught me over the years.
Gotcha. What do you say you took from your dad?
he's a calm spirit at times, right? It's like no one to hold him, no one to fold him type personality. So I think I get the calmness from him in high pressure situations, right? Like keep a cool head, a poker face. A lot of times people think you can read me, but then
I love this, of course.
when needed, my poker face is very good, but
yes.
he's just like a steady hand. And so I think the steadiness is what I get from him.
Are they both still around?
Oh yes, thankfully.
Amen. Amen to that. Now, do you still call them, or do you do weekly calls? Do they call you up, check on you? Do you
All the time.
How does it work?
Yeah, it's normally I'm more of the phone type, like caller person. So calls. My mom lives here locally. So we see her frequently, or we do things together.
Of course,
you know,
of course.
I have some kids, so she loves. That's so
course.
interesting. This grandma life. I'm like, you would have never let us do that.
Right,
So
but now they let grandkids get away with everything.
Everything.
So I've heard.
Yeah,
So
and my
I've
dad
heard.
comes up to visit all the time.
That's amazing. Having a family structure, I tell people that there's not enough that can be said about it, because even the invisible things that you and I will never even understand, it provides that having access to mom and dad, and even them still checking in, or you still checking in. I'm fortunate enough to still have my parents around, and I don't want to ever take that for granted.
Yeah.
Because I do have some of my colleagues who are professional, they're grinding, but every time the anniversary of their parents' passing comes up, no matter how powerful and strong they are in their accomplishments, and you can tell the impact, because the energy shifts, everything shifts for a certain time period, and even the strongest, will say, despite I was expecting, I still wasn't ready for that to happen. So if there's one thing that I tell all of my professional colleagues now in our grind, don't forget to check in if they're still around, because ultimately there will come a time when we can't check in anymore. And I think if there's ever any time when you will feel the impact of it is when you don't have access to the things that we took so for granted. Now when my phone rings and I see a WhatsApp call and I say mom, I get excited because she's at 86. And she still tries to call to touch bases. Sometimes I'm busy in a meeting. I'm like, oh, Mom, I'll get back to you. And I want to get back to her fast, because at that stage in the game of life, you want to just make sure you take every moment seriously. So I'm really happy that that's the foundation of who you are as a person. Believe it or not, that being there has constructed or helped to put together the foundation of who Miracle Rankin is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about your professional aspirations and dreams.
So I ran for the Georgia Supreme Court.
Tell us about this.
It was an opportunity that it's one of those you can't ever win if you never try.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. Yes.
Or what they say, you miss 100% of the shots that you never take. And I've always wanted to be on the Georgia Supreme Court since early in my career.
I can tell your mom is in you. Your mom, that mom is looking bigger, future vision. That sounds like your mom. Go ahead.
I just love when as a lawyer, I love being in front of the appellate court, advocating for my clients. Figuring out what does the law actually say, how should it be interpreted, and the individuals who wear those robes, they have a very heavy, responsibility that they have, not just for the profession but for the state, and how they interpret the laws and our Constitution of Georgia is so meaningful to our everyday existence. And so I've always wanted to ultimately be on the Georgia Supreme Court, and so I decided to run for it, and I came just a few thousand votes shy of the victory, but it was my first time ever running for anything. And then I chose to do it statewide and received almost 1 million votes from people across our state who put their trust in me. And I take that very seriously, that people would entrust me to even be in such a position. So while I am still working towards that as an ultimate goal, I get to also live on my current passion, which is advocating and helping people. And it goes really back to what I was doing at the Westin when I was reading the employee handbook and saying, no, that's not right. You're entitled to more. I do that every day now for my clients. I make sure that they receive what they're entitled to, and that people appreciate their injuries and how it's affected their lives.
You know what? Mouthful right there, folks, and we're gonna break it down because I'm excited. First, let's talk about your you're running for the Supreme Court. Uh, I'm assuming that this is just a delay because you're going to be doing this again.
Yes, delay is not denial.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So, and seeing that, almost 1 million votes from people that maybe have heard your story, haven't not met you in person yet, but just believed in what they saw, what they heard, with the same sort of, drive to accomplishing that dream. What are some of the strategies that you're even now? Because people say, well, is it far away to start thinking about it yet? Or is it too far away to start thinking about it yet? In terms of what your strategy will be as you think about how you're gonna, position yourself for the next period.
I would say continuing to do the work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Doing the work is what provided me the opportunity to even be able to run a
yeah,
statewide
yeah,
campaign and to be able to get support from people across
yeah,
our state, both financial, votes,
yeah,
everything in between. But it was my um, portfolio
yeah.
of work and community engagement that allowed me to have that opportunity. So don't take your foot off the gas, keep it on the pedal. And that's what I plan to do, just continuing to get great results for my clients. I would love to take cases that some lawyers shy away from because they're a bit challenging
Yeah.
and turning a no into an amazing yes, right? So continuing to do that and advocate for my clients while also figuring out how I can be of help to the community
Yeah.
around me. I realized while I was running is that mentorship is so needed. So
Mm-hmm.
finding the right individuals who really need someone to like pour into their lives and
Mm-hmm.
help them realize their next level or to unlock the potential that's within them. So those are things that I want to make sure I continue doing.
All right, folks, there you have it. Now let's talk briefly about where you're working now. And you've said a couple of times your advocacy for your clients, and doing sort of what doing your absolute best to help in maximizing the recovery. Where do you work now? And tell us about that space. I'm assuming it's personal injury. Tell us about it.
So I work at Morgan and Morgan. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
catastrophic injury attorney, and that means people tell me all the time, "Oh, girl, I saw that result. I can't wait till I can hire you." And I say, actually, you may not want to hire me because that means that something really bad has either
Yeah,
happened to you or
gotcha.
you've lost a loved one if
Mm-hmm.
you're calling my phone because I handle really big and bad injuries or deaths.
So catastrophic means that something very serious has
Yes,
transpired.
brain injuries, like people get involved in these really bad trucking wrecks and their brains are injured. And sometimes it's called, you're a doctor, it's an
Mm-hmm.
invisible injury to a lot of people
Yes,
because you
yes.
look like yourself, but you're not functioning at the
Not.
same capacity at all, right? So brain injury cases, loss of limbs. So you may have lost a leg or
Mm-hmm.
amputation or
Mm-hmm.
something like
Mm-hmm.
that, medical malpractice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
While they're amazing doctors, there are
Yes.
some people who aren't,
So
right? And
true.
that's same in
Yes.
the
So
profession that
true.
I'm in.
Yeah.
So holding people accountable when they harm folks. And so
Yes.
those are the areas that I focus on. And I just take cases that requires a lawyer to really dig in, go deep, and stand toe to toe with big people
Mm-hmm.
that most folks run away from,
Yeah.
right? And some of these medical malpractice cases, I am going to get some of the best lawyers in the state, but some of the best doctors in the state too, who just may have made a medical error in that
Yeah.
particular moment.
Yeah.
So you have to be well learned, you have to be tough,
Yeah.
and you don't back down.
Yeah.
So that's what I do really well.
Folks, by hearing her and I looking in her eyes and just sitting beside Attorney Rankin, I can tell you, this lady, I can feel she advocates. She goes the extra mile. And like she just concluded, she doesn't back down. I got the sense of that as I'm talking to you right now. So I can relate to people what I got the sense of as I'm talking to you. If I had a catastrophic case, there's no doubt that I'd come see you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So from here on right now, like this is your current space. The next 5 years, what does that look like for you?
The next 5 years,
Yeah.
continuing to do the work that I do,
Mm-hmm.
representing people across the state.
Mm-hmm.
So I already had a statewide practice, before I ran for the Supreme Court,
Mm-hmm.
being able to go around the state and really see people and meet them and engage them in their communities just made me want to be in those spaces even more.
More, yeah.
So expanding my practice to more cities across our state than where it currently is, and really getting great results for clients. Should the opportunity arise again for me to run for the Supreme Court, I will absolutely take it.
Absolutely. Tell me about family. You mentioned you have how many children you mentioned?
Two.
Two. How old are they?
4 and 6 as of today,
Yeah.
but in around 2 weeks. Well,
Mm-hmm.
next week my son will actually be 7, and
Okay.
then 2 weeks later my daughter will be 5.
Oh,
So
wow.
big birthdays coming up in
Big
July.
birthdays. What are their names?
Emerson and Nova.
Oh, that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, you mentioned that your mom plays a very active role.
Yes, Mama J.
Mama J plays a very active role in caring for the grandkids.
She does.
Now, is this it for you, 2 children, or?
Absolutely.
You said that with precision. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? You have a boy and a girl, so I guess you have both at this point. And what do they? So when they interact with mommy, what it's tough for them to conceptualize who you are right now. I know because they're probably still in the infancy, in their mental development. But when your daughter, who's the older or the younger? Who's the
My son's the oldest.
So, yeah, okay. So when he looks at you, has he ever said to you like what he thinks of mom, and what has he relayed to you, and how did it make you feel?
So he is more
Professionally.
of he's a mama's boy.
Okay.
And he just sees me as the tender mom that I am. So I'm one way in the courtroom,
Yeah.
boardroom, deposition. I am a totally different way when I'm at home.
Mom. Yeah.
One of my friends described it as like a parent. Sometimes you have like both sides of your hands, right?
Yes.
The soft side where you
Yes.
have to coddle and say, "Hey, it's gonna be okay," and then you have the backside.
You have to lend.
Hey, let me either
Yeah.
direct you in another
Gotcha.
path or get you together, right?
Yes.
But they typically get the soft
side.
side of me
Yes.
95% of the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So I think that that's what he sees me as. It's like this when they walk in the room,
Yeah.
you get a different version
Yeah.
of me.
Yeah.
And that's something that even when I was on the campaign trail, people would say, "Oh, when your kids come in, it's just like you turn on
Yeah.
to just be a mom."
That's beautiful.
And they're the love of my life, and like the joy in my eye. I just never knew a love like what I get from my babies.
Amen to that. Attorney Rankin, at this point, I just want to say that when I think about the journey of you aspiring and climbing professionally, but not just that only, but balancing that from a family standpoint, I think folks sometimes underestimate what it takes to professionally climb and navigate, especially in a male-dominated profession, but also still having that maternal, gentle sort of aspect of you to still show up and be mom, and kids know that you're still present. Balancing that, has it ever been challenging for you balancing both?
Oh, absolutely. But I just think it takes determination, right? And really checking in with yourself about what's your important thing, right? And knowing that my kids are doing well and that I'm showing up as much as I can in my home life allows me to be more fulfilled and go out and to do the work on behalf of my clients very well. So that requires intentionality, looking at your schedule and saying, these times I can't be counted, right? Between these hours, I can be all I can.
Yeah, right.
But at this point, I have to show up for them to make
Yes.
sure because I don't ever want them to feel like a nanny is raising them or someone else. I want them to feel my love, right? And to know that it's ever present and that there's a little bit of sacrifice. So while I may step away to cook dinner and have that after school time, that might mean on the opposite side that at 10 o'clock at night, I'm back up working and I may not stop until 2 or 3 the next morning. But I've even found that in those late night, like jaunts or sessions that I'm doing, I don't feel exhausted, especially when my cup has been filled up earlier in that day, like with them.
Very, very powerful. Filling that cup with the love. And that gives you the energy, the drive, and the motivation to continue doing, pushing, being, inspiring, and winning. Attorney Rankin, it's a pleasure. The pleasure was absolutely mine having you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
As we wrap up, if folks would like to find you, if folks would like to get representation from you and your firm for catastrophic injuries, how can they find you?
You can find me on social media at Attorney Miracle. That's ATTY Miracle. That's Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I have one of those now. So you can find me on all of those measures. You can also email me, srankin@forthepeople.com. So those are some of the best ways to find me.
Well, folks, there you have it. Attorney Rankin, once again, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast today. Looking forward to hearing, seeing this episode air, and seeing the people that will tap into this, be moved, changed, and inspired by your story and how you're navigating, the professional space while balancing being an amazing mom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.